and welcome to the Therapy Hour. Thank you for coming to join me today on this beautiful, rainy, windy, cloudy, mild day. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Therapy Hour. So for today, I want to touch on and commemorate and celebrate what this week signifies. This is Mental Health Awareness. So what does that mean exactly? Hi everyone for joining me. Welcome back to the ones that haven't been for a while, and welcome to the ones that this is their first time in joining me. All right. My name is Nathaniel. I'm going to be your psychotherapist for the next hour as we embark on just creating an open, comfortable space in order for us to be able to explore what is going on for us internally. Not superficially, but what is going on for us internally. So whatever baggage you're carrying, whatever load that is on top of you right now, for the next hour, if you can, to stay with me for the next hour while we just unload whatever baggage we may have, unload whatever preconceptions we may have, and just be free, and as I like to call it, naked, for the next hour in order for us to be able to explore those inner recesses of our minds, of our hearts, of our gut, because I do believe the gut also plays a huge part in how we're feeling. So to commemorate Mental Health Awareness Week, I thought it would be best for us to actually take our earrings off, take the mascara or the lashes off, or whatever it is. For the fellas, take the fake beard off or whatever you're rocking, and just sit back and just be free and naked with yourself and your inner thoughts, okay? So I've had a few questions, a few topics that people want me to touch on. There's certain issues that people are going through, or they've always had in the back of their minds, and they just want a space to be able to explore it. They want a space to be able to hear somebody else talk about it, so they don't feel as isolated, as alone as they normally do feel. So I'm going into my my pad to be able to look at those questions and be able to explore and expand on it further. Some of them may want to join me. If you want to join me, feel free to let me know. If you've got some questions for yourself, if you want to ask, drop it in there and I'll get someone to read it out for me or send it to me. So let's get started. All right. Mental health. What does that mean? That means it's the engine underneath the hood. That means it is the power that controls certain aspects of yourself. We need our health, our mental health, to be in a good place. We require, in order for us to function at optimum level, our mental health to be in a good, safe space. So for today, what I want to look at is, what are some of the tips that I use in order for me to be able to manage, maintain, and feed healthy nutrients into my mind? What are the things what are the skills, the tricks, the strategies that I use and I implore my clients to use in order to manage themselves when they are in a moment of crisis? Now, crisis is not understating it. Crisis is what we may have gone through at different points in our lives. There are people potentially doing their exams right now that have gone through crisis. There are people that have finished their exams and they're going through potential crisis of what the future holds. So for now, I want us to be able to answer those questions, explore those questions in this space. You with me? So let's go through it. Some of it, things I'm going to be talking about today, may be of a deep nature. Some of the things I may be talking about today may resonate with you on a very personal level. If you haven't explored those things, it may be difficult for you to hear it. If you haven't challenged those thoughts and those feelings, it may be very challenging for you to hear it. So that is my way of preparing you to go certain places that you may not be comfortable or usually go to. All right? Those voices in the darkness that we try and turn over or put music on to drown out, because we're not in an optimum space to be able to deal with those feelings. In this space, anything goes as much as we can. All right? So, welcome to all the ones joining me. And as you find out throughout the hour, more and more will be joining us to be able to maybe touch on some of the things they want to touch on. Now, mental health awareness is about understanding that my mind is a space in which I need to devote my time, my energy, and my love for. It's a space in which I need to regularly check in on. Last week we did mental health check-in, which the comments I got, the direct messages I received showed me that it was a conversation a lot of people were willing to have, or they were getting prepared to have. So here are some of the things that people have mentioned to me in order for me to touch on today. All right. And on top of that list, we've got loneliness. The question or the topic which I want to touch on is loneliness. How do you manage feeling lonely? The person that sent me the message wanted to know whether they were alone in feeling lonely. Not only in this period of COVID, but even pre-COVID, the feeling of loneliness. The person that assured me, that they have many friends. However, they still felt lonely. And it's always bothered them that they still felt lonely, that something was wrong with them, that they didn't feel quite right. Because how can I be experiencing loneliness and I'm surrounded by people? So to start off looking at mental health today, in the mental health awareness episode of today's therapy hour, the first topic that was brought to me was loneliness. How do we deal with loneliness? What does loneliness even mean? So for some of you, that may resonate with you. Loneliness is the sense of isolation, is the sense of feeling detached from the whole world or detached from your surroundings. Feeling like, if you watch the film Castaway with, is it Wilson? It's that sense of I'm on an island by myself. Although I'm surrounded by other people, I still feel lonely. Now that could be one of the most painful feelings to have. I'm surrounded by people, but I still feel lonely. I feel isolated in my own mind. And some of the things, without having that person that's asked a question sat in front of me for me to be able to explore and probe and journey with, I'll look at loneliness as a title, as a subject within itself. There may be many reasons for you feeling lonely. One of those reasons that I've noticed with my clients are the feeling that there's something within me that not anybody else knows about. There's something within me that I haven't disclosed or haven't felt comfortable to disclose to somebody else. So I do feel lonely. So I do feel isolated. And with that, you may feel that nobody would understand me. Nobody gets me because nobody knows me. Have you ever felt that sense of people see a facade of you, but they don't really know what goes on behind the facade? So in that sense, you may be in a crowd, everybody's laughing, you're laughing, but you still feel a sense of loneliness because there's no connection to that inner voice. There's no connection to that inner being within you. So it doesn't really matter whether you're in a crowd, you're busy, everybody's laughing, you're in a club, whatever it may be. In that situation, you may be feeling isolated, feeling lonely, because your inner self is still hidden. Your inner self, you do not feel it is out there for other people to be able to see. Or maybe you feel that other people do not see that inner self of you. And that may contribute to your loneliness. The more questions, if the person was sat in front of me, or the person maybe sat in front of me right now watching this, that sense of loneliness may come from a place where you have had to shield yourself off in order to protect yourself from what you deem, what you interpret as impending pain and hurt. So if that resonates with you, we need to look at that inner voice first before we look at our surroundings. We need to listen to that inner voice, understand what is going on within us in order for us to be comfortable and confident enough to open that part up to the world, for us to be able to embrace and invite connectivity with other people to be able to join us. Now, the word for today for me would be the word acceptance. Throughout different topics that I'll be touching on, acceptance will be the order of the day, because I believe acceptance is one of the most powerful tools any of us can have in dealing with any situation. Acceptance is one of the most powerful tools we can use in dealing with any challenges or crisis we may be having, is to accept that situation. All right? So I hope I've touched on a little bit of the loneliness, and I'll go on to the next aspect that somebody's brought up for me to talk on today. This one is a little bit deeper, and this touches on one of the things we spoke about 3 episodes ago, or 2 episodes ago, is someone has sent me a message and they wanted me to explore in today's session. And the topic is, my husband is abusive. My husband is violent and abusive in other ways as well. I do love him. I do want to be with him because we've got children. However, I do not know how to get out of it, and I do not know how to deal with it. And the message ended with, please help. So for me to touch on this, thank you for asking that question. Thank you for entrusting me to explore that with you. Now, before I touch on that, I just want to make just to say one thing here. For Mental Health Awareness Week, one of the topic this year is kindness. And I thought, what can I do as a moment of kindness, for something for me to do in my capacity as a psychotherapist? My fee normally for some may be too high for them to be able to afford. So for this week, I'm offering my 1 session free to anyone that somebody nominates to receive that. So if you are somebody that has friends or family that you feel that they may need someone to speak to, or someone to be able to explore things with, nominate them by sending a DM message to myself, or also Talking Therapy Clinic. Now, in regards to this question, the voice I heard there is a voice of confusion, a voice of feeling isolated, and a voice of feeling unsure of what to do in the future. So, in answering that question, I would implore that person to speak to a therapist, speak to someone that they can trust. Message me again, and if there's an option for me to be able to assist you, I can. But for everyone else that's exploring being in a difficult relationship where you feel that you have no hope or there's no way out of it, I fully empathize with that sense of no way out. I fully empathize with that sense of, I cannot do better, I have no options, I'm just going to have to accept it and accept the situation in which I'm in. The first thing I will say to you is, right now it's about looking at self-love and self-care. The first thing I need to say to you is that what's the safest thing for you right now? The therapeutic aspect we can explore, but first of all, let's look at the risk management. If the safest thing for you is to leave that home, then I implore for you to look at options to do so. One of the things I would suggest, if you feel that this COVID situation is exacerbating your husband's behavior, your partner's behavior, what I will say to you is that look at certain steps in which you can mitigate that. And it's not your fault. You are not to blame. But right now, we're just looking at ways to try to mitigate the situation in which you're in right now. Phone calls you have with loved ones, make a video call. The reason why I'm suggesting we do that is so that way people can see you, people can see your face, people can see what you're going through, and that way it may prevent the other person from being abusive in that situation. So as much as you can, if your partner, as the question stated, my husband is abusive, I don't know what to do, and she mentioned violence also being in the relationship, what I would say in that situation to mitigate it, every phone call you have, make it a video one. So that now way your loved ones, your friends will be present there, and that could prevent him from being abusive in that situation. The other things I would say to you about risk management is looking at times in which he goes to bed, times in which the children are around. Those kind of things to minimize and mitigate that behavior. But like I stated, for a risk purpose, if you do feel you cannot stay there and you can leave to seek shelter, please do so. I've sent the person messages and links to different refuge, shelter, Eves, Women's Aid, Solace. There are different organizations that are out there to be able to assist in situations like this. So you are not alone. What I would say to the general people watching is that in situations when we feel that there's no way out, that we are testament of that hope. We're testament that there is a way out. There are options out there beyond the darkness of right now. The hopelessness of right now, if you are going through it, the hopelessness of right now is not permanent. And I need you and I implore you to connect to those words. Whatever you're going through right now in that darkness, it's not permanent. So if it's not permanent, I want you to just stick around a little bit longer to be able to see it turn. I want you to stick around a little longer to be able to affect the change and see the change. I know it's difficult at times to even see the possibility of a change. I know it's difficult sometimes to be able to even believe it is possible to see that change. Seeking help, seeking support is one of the most strongest and powerful show of strength you can have. So for Mental Health Awareness Week, if you do notice that you do need that support and assistance, show yourself the kindness that is the theme this week, to seek that help and seek that assistance and speak to a therapist. All right? And for anyone that's going through certain things that may be challenging right now, my DM is always free and is available. And for everyone that sent me messages, I always reply the messages. So if there are any questions you don't want to raise here, or any questions you want to raise directly to me, send me a direct message. And I'll do my best, I always do, to respond to them. Okay. I saw earlier there's a question there. Any of you, if you've got any questions or any topics you want me to touch on today, please send it through and we'll be able to work with each other today to be able to explore it. All right. So any challenges, any thoughts, any feelings, or it may even be retrospective and the fear that it may come back again, let me know and we'll be able to explore it together in today's session. All right. Because we're celebrating our mental health today. We're looking at how can I feed my mind to be able to deal with the challenges that life is going to bring to us. So feel free to send it through to me. All right. Now, one of the strategies I have in dealing with rumination. Rumination is another one that a few people have stated. Yes, my mind just goes over and over things and over and over things. And I can be up till 4 o'clock in the morning just thinking things over and over and over. And it doesn't get any better. The situation is still there. Right? Okay. So this is one of the tricks or strategies or skills that I employ. There's something called detached mindfulness. Detached mindfulness is a way of being very present in the moment. Like right now, I'm very present in the moment. But the trees are rustling outside over there. And over there, more trees are rustling over there. But I'm still connected in this moment. There's still mindfulness going on here. But I'm detached from all the other noises surrounding me to be able to zone in this process in which you're going through right now. That is detached mindfulness. And the way we train our minds to be able to do that more effectively. I'm going to put something on my YouTube channel sometime this week in which I'm going to be taking you through the process of which you can, and the exercises in detail in which you can practice detached mindfulness. And one of the simple ways are if you put different noises, different sounds on at different times, just sit in that moment for 10 minutes. You can practice this afterwards. For 10 minutes, I want you to put on different sounds. So it could be one from your phone, it could be one from the TV, you could have the window open to be able to hear outside noise. And in that moment, I want you to take all of the noises in and at the same time, feel them drown out of you. So you sit in it, you're hearing the TV, you're hearing the music, you're hearing outside. And in that moment, I want you to slowly but surely take it in, but don't pay attention to it. So if it's the news channel, take it in, but don't pay attention to it. The sound is there, but I'm drowning out the contents of it. When the music is on, I can hear the music, I can hear the beat is on, but I'm not paying attention to it. Outside noise is on. So all these noises are there, but you're finding a way to just push it away and do not give it attention. That's one of the best strategies to use when you ruminate a lot. Ruminate is a fancier way of saying overthinking. So when you are prone to overthinking, practice detached mindfulness. Like I said, I'm going to be touching on that on my YouTube page next week, in which I just go through a 10-minute exercise on how to do that, in which you can listen to it over and over again and you can practice that yourself. But that is one of the strategies and the skills in which I use. And some of my clients that go through depression and anxiety, I introduce that into the sessions as well, in order for them to be in a better place to be able to practice detached mindfulness. And by practicing it, they'll start slowly. The purpose of it is you start drowning out the outside noise. The best way for me to describe it is a lot of people I know live in London, right? Live in the city. So imagine standing at the train platform, a very busy train station, and you've got trains coming through, left, right. And imagine, I'm telling you right now, you look through every carriage every time a train goes past. Every single carriage. That's what we do when we ruminate, when we overthink. We are giving attention to any little thought that flies into our minds. Any little thought that flies into our minds. Oh, I need to do this tomorrow. I need to do this today. Or someone is asking me to do that. Have I done this? What's going on right now? What are my thoughts on this? How do I feel about this? And that goes on and on and on and on and on to the point in which you feel stressed. You feel overburdened by all the thoughts flying in. Just like being at a train station platform and the trains are whizzing past you and you're looking at every single one of them. So that is what goes on in our minds. So for detached mindfulness, it's practicing how do I block out everything? How do I not give attention to every little thought that flies into my mind? And before you know it, another thought is coming and you forgot, what was I thinking a minute ago? Oh no, another thought is coming. So it's practicing that. And that's one of the strategies I use in my sessions to assist clients that are dealing with rumination, depression, detached mindfulness. You can look into it yourself, but like I said, I'll be dropping a 10-minute video in next week to explain and expand it a little bit more. Okay? That's one of the tips in which I use to deal with rumination. All right. One of the other things about mental health is I feel down. I don't know why I'm down, but I feel down. I feel low. I feel sad. Just a dark cloud over me. How do I feel? How can I deal with all these feelings of feeling quite low, quite down, quite sad, but I can't put my finger on it? Now, some people go through a huge chunk of their lives feeling that way, and they cannot identify it. So then it is normalized. It becomes your new normal, like I've stated before. And when it becomes your new normal, what happens there is you don't even know when this started. You don't even know how to get out of it. You get stuck in that situation of feeling sad, feeling low, feeling and you can't even identify it. And the fact that you can't identify it even makes you even feel worse, because I don't know why I'm feeling like this, because then you start feeling scared. What is going on within my mind? Am I losing my mind? Right? Now, those things are very, very natural things that you may be going through. To, to be in a position in which you are feeling low, I can't put my finger on it, feeling down, I don't know why I'm feeling down. Maybe that's just me. Maybe my life is rubbish. My life is crap. And all those things. Now, let's go through a collective therapy session right now. Okay? So, by doing that, what I suggest is we go through that scenario in which you're feeling low, you're feeling down, and it's been going on for more than a day. Because, the ones that go on for like half a day or a day, they happen. And then what I want you to use is what I've just mentioned about 2-3 minutes ago about rumination and overthinking and detached mindfulness. I'm going to bring it into feeling low, feeling down, feeling, the word depressed. We can feel depressed without being clinically depressed. We can have a depressive episode without it meaning we're suffering from depression. They're two separate things. We can have low moods without us being depressed. I can lack motivation right now. It doesn't mean I'm depressed. Although it's one of the symptoms of depression, it does not automatically equate to that. There are certain parameters we need to reach first before I can diagnose you as being depressed. All right? So let's look at that in feeling down and feeling low. And some of the comments here, very open and honest, I appreciate it. Feeling like you're having a meltdown, feeling like you're feeling low and down. So let's go through that session right now in order to be able to explore how long it was going for. How can you, I want you to try and describe the feeling. Describe what it felt like for you. Describe all the feelings you may have been feeling in that moment. And for the ones that are going through it right now, I'm sending you love. And the love I'm sending you is a connection of one soul to another soul, of seeing you, of seeing those feelings, of empathizing with you, of giving you kindness for you going through what you're going through. But I want you to try and think about in this moment, because what we're going to do right now is what I do with some of my clients when they're going through that in that moment is explore it. So we're going to look at it. We're going to take the emotions out of it. I'm going to take my emotions out of it, and I'm just going to explore what you are experiencing. I'm going to put my hat on to be able to explore that. So I want you to do that right now yourselves. What exactly am I feeling is the first question I want you to ask yourself. I want us to be able to invite that feeling in, that feeling of feeling low, that feeling of feeling depressed, not knowing why am I feeling so low, not knowing when am I going to stop feeling this way. I want to stop tomorrow because I want to be able to be happy. I want to be able to be joyous and take satisfaction in the things that I love and enjoy. I want to be able to enjoy the food I eat again. All right? So in this moment, I want you to ask yourself the question, what am I feeling? I want you to describe it. So it could be, I'm feeling hopeless, that things are not going to get better. I'm feeling unloved because I feel that maybe nobody's going to love me or appreciate me. I'm feeling lost because I don't know what I'm going to do, what I want to do. I don't even know anything anymore. Whatever it may be, I want you to try and identify it for me right now. All right? So we see a heavy chest, the feeling of dark cloud over you. Now, dark cloud is a beautiful imagery. The reason why it's a beautiful imagery is about 10 minutes ago, the sky was a little bit brighter and the clouds were fuller. And 10 minutes later, the clouds have now drifted over there. So that is to show you that that cloud that you presently feel right now is not permanent. And by knowing it's not permanent, by taking that in and using that as a way to challenge those feelings, that's a good start. So what am I feeling? I'm feeling low. I'm feeling like there's a dark cloud over me. I'm feeling that I can't shake it. Feeling now, every time, and I mentioned this last week, every time we're feeling low, you know what happens? Our defenses are down. And because our defenses are down, the door is open for all those other negative feelings that may not be real, but they find their way to our consciousness. So usually when you're feeling down, I guarantee you most of the time you're going to be feeling not good enough, feeling rubbish about yourself, maybe feeling lonely, maybe feeling isolated, maybe feeling unworthy. Those feelings are coming through. You start questioning, what's the point of life? Why am I here? In that moment, you become the greatest philosopher in the history of the world, right? You start asking yourself those questions. What is the point of this? What am I doing with my life? Why does the toilet flush this way rather than that way? Well, there's a reason for that. If you're in Australia, you'll be able to see that it flushes the other way, but that's another story. All right? And it started going through there, and before you know it, and it's perfect phrase there, mental warfare. Now, imagine mental warfare like you're fighting yourself. You're fighting that inner battle within your own mind. And the person you're fighting against, in most cases, is your own psyche. They're your own thoughts. So what we're going to do is we're just going to step out of the way a little bit and be able to deal with it. What am I feeling? I'm feeling low. I'm feeling, what's the point of life? I'm feeling worthless. I'm feeling unloved. I'm feeling not good enough. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling scared. If those are the things you're feeling, I want you to list all of them. All of those feelings. I want you to list them down. Write it down if you need to write it down right now or when we're finished. Write it down, list it, keep a mental note of what those feelings are. In any moment you're feeling like that, write it down so you become aware of what those feelings are. You become connected to that voice that normally you push away because you've been pushing them away. They're like, oh, now it's a free-for-all. Defenses are down. Everyone, let's bum rush the show. Right? With no ticket or anything, their name's not down on the list, but they're coming in anyway. They're rushing through. So what are the feelings I'm feeling right now? And if I'm feeling scared, if I'm feeling worried, if I'm feeling loneliness, if I'm feeling isolated, unworthy, or like I feel the universal world is feeling right now, if I'm feeling scared of what comes tomorrow, write those thoughts and those feelings down. And if you have been following the therapy hour for the last, well, this is the 8th session, by the way. If you have been following it for the last 8th session, you will know one of the things I love saying is our feelings and our thoughts are not always right. Our feelings and our thoughts are not always right. Which means if I feel like I'm worthless, it doesn't mean I am worthless. If I think nobody cares about me, doesn't mean nobody cares about you. So one of the things I do live with my clients, we sit down and we explore what those thoughts are, and we have a live challenging session in which if I'm feeling that I'm not smart enough, what does smart enough mean? And we explore it and we look at, oh wow, you do know how to spell. You do know how to count to 10. Hey, we have to start somewhere, right? What do you mean? And invariably, it's not always what you've written down that is the issue. It is your fear of something that is ignited within you that has caused this for you to feel that it is real. Now, if you want to look at some, one of the things there is what's the point of life? I feel, what's the point of life? In that moment, you are exploring something greater than that situation you're in right there. You are inviting the negativity in you in that moment. Because if I ask you right now to answer that question, what is the point of life? You're not stating what's the point of life. You're asking, what is the point of my life? And if we're going through something there, right there, as Keisha mentioned, answering those questions. The reason why I'm feeling that way is because I'm still grieving for my mother that I lost. So if I'm feeling down in that situation, if you question it, why am I feeling this way? Because I am still feeling grief for someone I loved passing away. I'm still feeling loss. I've been impacted by one of the biggest things that could occur to us in our lifetime is losing someone we love. If you broke your leg and you started running, I guarantee you won't be asking, why is my leg hurting? Because I broke my leg. And what do I need to do to that broken leg? I need to put the weight off it. I need to rest it. I need to protect it. I need to nurture it. I need to allow my broken bone to set, and over time, over a process, I need it to heal. And what I'm doing is I'm creating an environment for that bone, for that leg to heal. Physicality we can connect to, but the emotional we get lost, we get stranded, we get mixed with, I don't know what's going on. So that's why I want to encourage you to look at it and write it down. Why am I feeling this way? And if you're feeling this way because you just broken up with a loved one, what feelings are coming from that event? Whatever the event is, what feelings are coming there? What doubts, what questions am I having about myself? What existential crisis am I experiencing due to this event? An existential crisis means you start questioning your existence. As Keisha mentioned previously, what is the point of life? We start looking at the whole meaning of life. What's the point of all of this? What's the point of going to work? What's the point of getting a house? What's the point of all of this? Because I can imagine if you lose a loved one, and unfortunately, the reality of life is, it seems all of us here have lost someone that we valued greatly. And it affects us in different ways sometimes, but also in a collective way of sadness, shock, anger, frustration, grief. Ultimately, that word again, acceptance. So in that moment, in order for us to be able to explore whatever we're feeling, we need to try to understand it first. Ask yourself relevant questions. What am I feeling? When did I start feeling this way? What event occurred near the time I started feeling this way? If you've identified it, then we can start working on it. Not pushing it away, not ignoring it, but start working on understanding how this has impacted me. And what do I need to do? Like that broken leg, to be able to set myself and provide an environment to nurture so this can heal, so we can heal. You know, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. It's about healing ourselves when we feel low. Recognizing that we do feel low, we do feel down, we do have challenges. We question ourselves. Interestingly, whilst I was doing masters, there was someone that had a PhD in a different field to myself, but a PhD, and I was like, wow, imagine having a PhD. That's the height, you know, of academia, right? The height of it. And we're just talking in a canteen one time. And this person, like, sometimes they feel stupid. Sometimes they feel not good enough or dumb or whatever it is. And it was such a brilliant conversation because it underlined to me that that person, no matter who you are, we all have moments where we feel we're not good enough. We all have moments in which those thoughts will start creeping in. Those thoughts will start coming through you. And what we need to do is explore, what am I feeling? When we've identified, I feel dumb, or I feel not smart enough, or not good enough. When did I start feeling this way? It may be a recent event that has just come in, or it may be a long-lasting event that you've experienced over time in your life, that you've normalized internally and to the back of your mind. When something happens, it triggers it. It becomes activated. And then we can't put our finger on it. It's like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel not good enough? Why do I feel like I'm the least attractive out of all my friends? Why do I feel like I'm the least intelligent of all my family members? Why do I feel this way? That, in that situation, if you cannot identify a recent event, I'll encourage you to explore a deeper one. I'll encourage you to look at the landscape of your life, and what you may identify there is there may be previous events that occurred that you have internalized and interpreted a certain way. I've interpreted this means this. So anytime something seems like this happens, my interpretation is always going to mean this. My dad will call my sister, but he won't call me. That means he didn't love me. And without realizing that, you've internalized, I'm not good enough. It can happen that way. That's why I implore everyone to explore and challenge those thoughts, those feelings. Even if you've never done it before, it's never too late to start now. And start looking at life maybe a little bit differently than you've ever done before. You can start looking at life like, hold on a minute. So all these years, all my 28 years of life, no sniggering, I've always thought this, or I've always thought that. And by going through therapy, shameless plug coming up right now, talkingtherapyclinic.co.uk. Check it out. Refer to your friends, colleagues, and family. Hold on. Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Sorry, forgive me. In that moment, you may start looking at your life differently. For all of you watching right now, you do not know what is behind you. Like literally, don't look back. What is behind you? Because your eye view is not facing that way. But if you look back, you see something that, like, hold on a minute, I never even knew that. So by exploring what happened that made me feel that way, we can explore it together in a safe space. And by doing that, you may discover new things about what you once believed was 100% factual and true. What you once believed, like, no, there's no doubt in my mind that this happened. And we may start looking at it a certain way. So anytime you do feel down and low, start questioning yourself, what am I feeling? Anytime you feel down and low, start looking at it. Okay, when did this feeling start for me? What event occurred in that period for me to be able to piece it together? Okay, now from this event, I have interpreted, I have experienced it this way, and this is making me feel down. Now, by going through therapy and seeing someone to be able to be your guide in that journey, you may be able to look at this event again, and we will be able to use a new filter to put that event in, and then we may be able to see a different experience come out of it, a different interpretation come out of it. So that's what therapy can do for you. And if you are feeling low, question it. Try to identify if there's a recent event that has triggered it. Challenge those events, those thoughts. If it's a longer lasting one, you may need someone like myself to be able to explore that with you, to go on that journey with you, to be able to discover for yourself what is keep triggering this. I keep feeling this every 2-3 months, or I keep feeling this anytime I start a new relationship. Why do I feel this guy's gonna leave me? Why do I feel this woman doesn't really love me? She can't love me. Those questions have got nothing, I'm sorry to say, to do with that person you are with in that moment. If you keep having those thoughts, the guy or the woman in front of you is not responsible for those feelings and those thoughts. That is all you. And it's about exploring where this is coming from. Why am I feeling I'm not good enough? And nobody ever said to me, oh, by the way, Nathaniel, you're not good enough. So where are those thoughts and those feelings coming from? Like I said in the beginning of this, some topics are going to be very difficult for us to explore. Some topics are going to be very challenging for us to be able to hear. But this is a healing space. And it's about encouraging us to have that collective conversations with ourselves, collective introspection, and try to get to know ourselves better. It reminds me of a conversation I was having earlier today about one of the most powerful things for me when I was on my journey of self-discovery, which continues every day for the rest of my life, I imagine, is the moment I accepted myself. That moment I accepted myself, my life changed. I cannot overstate this because of the powerful aspect it had in my life. The moment I looked into myself, warts and all, or as the phrase I like to use, dirty ugly. Dirty ugly is, imagine looking at yourself as raw and as honest as you possibly can. This is who I am. All the negative, all the positive, everything else in between. As soon as I accepted that person, my life changed. And if the aspects of your life you don't like, not saying, oh, I'm going to accept it because, oh, well, I can't change it. If you can, explore making yourself a better person. But as soon as that word acceptance came into my life and I started accepting myself, it reminded me of, if some of you are religious, Jesus going into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, right? Well, for me, it wasn't a desert. It was 8th floor of a council flat. That was my uh, desert in which you are isolated from the world. You are left with your own thoughts. And by exploring that and looking at, okay, going through the journeys in your mind from the past to the present and getting to a point where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to accept this is who I am and these are the things I believe in and this is the way I want to live my life. And the outside noises just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. So if you guys are going through anything right now and that is challenging for you or you're dealing with, if you can seek help, if you can seek support and assistance, do so. But if you want to start that journey of questioning certain things yourself first, write the list down. What am I feeling? When did I start feeling this way? What events may have contributed, or, it's like doing a little detective work. When did this start? What happened at the same time? Well, this started 3 months ago. What happened 3 months ago? Well, I started a new job. Okay. So you started feeling self-doubt 3 months ago. Yeah, I just felt that I wasn't good enough, or I felt that I didn't feel as smart as I did before, whatever it may be. So what happened? Well, I started a new job. And this new job you started, describe to me, this job. Well, it's a job I've always wanted to do, a job that I'm like, oh gosh, I'll be so happy if I got this job. Okay. So there was quite a lot relying on you getting this job. Yes, there was. Okay. And what was your experience in that first day, that first week? I felt everybody else was better than me. And the people you worked with, how long were they there for? Well, they'd been there for years. Okay. So in that situation, you can understand why you may feel that they're better than you. Because they knew where the kitchen was. They knew where you kept the mugs. They've already built and fostered relationships within that workplace. And you felt isolated, disconnected from there. You didn't think you knew what you were doing because you were still going through an induction period. Those are the ways in which we can explore, why am I feeling this way? When did it start? And what could have been within that event that has contributed to this? And after that first week of work, that feeling just stuck with me because I didn't challenge it. Like we've just done right now, we've just challenged that thought and that feeling immediately. The pressure of starting this new job because it's a job I really wanted is a higher level. And as soon as I started it, everybody else seemed to know what they were doing because they did. If you were in their situation as well, you would be seen as someone that knew what they were doing more than someone that just started. The culture of the place, they were very, everybody was in their own space, their own sect, their own gang, or whatever it may be. Yes, you felt isolated because of those things. How can I stop myself from feeling that? Accept the fact that this is the reason why I was feeling this way. And now let's look at the fact you got this job. I don't know about you, but most jobs, they don't give it to you out of charity unless you volunteer. And even then, sometimes you may not get it. So you qualified for this role. You've got experience to be able to get this role. And someone is paying you for it, which means they value you and they think you're worthy enough to receive payment for this. So those are the kind of things I want you guys to be able to do. Those are the kind of things I want you guys to be able to look into yourself and question yourself and try and find the answers for your own issues in that initial moment. So you don't go 6 months feeling like rubbish. You don't go a year feeling like you're not good enough or feeling crap. In that moment, what you could do is you could find yourself to go, okay, let me actually pause this for a moment and just challenge this thought. Let me look at these feelings. These thoughts, are they real? Why may I be feeling this way? Okay? And for the ones feeling low, there's a connectivity here in this whole group, and I feel connected to that.